Hey there, Saki here from SAKITECH, and in today's video we will be doing a full comparison between the 2018 iPad Pro 11-inch versus the 2018 Samsung Galaxy Tab S4. The Tab S4 was released in August 2018 while the iPad Pro came to light in November 2018. And of course people are asking questions. Which one is better? And which one should I buy, the iPad Pro or the Tab S4? And of course in this video we will tackle those questions directly by doing a deep dive into every aspect of these two tablets. Towards the end of the video I will tell you exactly which tablet you should choose and why. Also, before we dive in, if you're looking to buy either one of these tablets at the lowest prices, see the links in the description box below for great deals. So let's dive right in. Real quick, if you do want a smartphone or a tablet, make sure to subscribe to SAKITECH. And of course, make sure to click that notifications bell icon to instantly get notified when I upload a new video. So there's no question that the iPad has a fantastic design and is built out of premium materials. It's a smooth unibody aluminum construction that feels like $1 million. The Tab S4 has taken a different approach than an all-metal body. It is actually built out of glass both on the front and the back panel and is surrounded by a metal trim around the edges. The final result is a pleasure to hold and gives you a solid premium sensation. Neither tablet feels cheap or flimsy. Now it's important to understand that both products look gorgeous and feel premium, except one is aluminum and the other is largely glass. As such, it's hard for me to pick a winner here. Even the overall design language is similar as you look at these products side by side. Moving to some particulars, the iPad Pro has a USB Type-C port as well as a smart connector. The smart connector is there so you can buy and attach the Apple Smart Keyboard directly to your iPad if that is a functionality you're looking for. The Tab S4 offers a USB Type-C port as well and also offers a Smart Keyboard connector which serves the same function as the iPad. Both tablets have 4 high-fidelity speakers, 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top, that produce loud and rich sound for entertainment lovers. Tab S4 does have a headphone jack while the iPad does not. Now it's quite interesting that so far both of these tablets seem almost equally valuable, but let's keep digging deeper and find out if one trumps the other. So let's talk about the processor, memory, and storage. The iPad Pro sports a powerful A12X Bionic processor with 4 GB of RAM and starts with a base storage capacity of 64 GB at a price of $800. The Tab S4 sports a quad-core Snapdragon 835 CPU with 4 GB of RAM as well and 64 GB of storage at a price of $650. Tab S4 also offers a microSD expansion slot which allows you to add up to 512 GB of extra storage just by using a microSD card. iPad Pro does not have this expansion option, but you could buy a 256, 512 or 1 TB models, which is going to cost you much more than buying an SD card. So price is one thing to consider if you need a lot of local storage on your tablet. As for the actual power these devices produce, looking at these Geekbench scores that compute the processing power, it is clear that the iPad Pro is much more powerful than the Tab S4 by a massive margin. The processing power on the iPad does make it a better product for professional users that need heavy-duty processing power for easily editing 4K videos, process raw image files, or using high-grade industrial apps. An average consumer doesn't need to dwell too much on this category because they don't usually need heavy-duty processing power of this caliber. But a professional user is better off considering an iPad Pro over the Tab S4 based on power alone. Apple also offers superior pro-level apps to go hand in hand with the available power. Of course, we'll talk about this more in our conclusion, but for now, let's move on to the dimensions and weight. So the iPad Pro measures 247.6 mm in height, 178.5 mm wide, and 5.9 mm thick. It weighs 469 grams. The Tab S4 measures 249.3 mm in height, 164.3 mm wide, and 7.1 mm thick. It weighs 482 grams. Both of these products are extremely thin and lightweight, so portability is not an issue. This is not a category that should be factored into making a buying decision. Now let's move on to the screen size and screen features. The iPad Pro has an 11-inch screen with a resolution of 2388 by 1668, which brings the total screen PPI to 264. The Tab S4 has a 10.5-inch screen with a resolution of 2560 by 1600 and 287 pixels per inches. Now, this is a tricky category. First and foremost, both of these displays have tip-top display quality, and I cannot recommend one over the other as far as daily use of display quality goes. However, the iPad Pro has one feature that does set it apart. It has a 120Hz refresh rate that makes just about everything you do on the iPad feel more responsive and smoother, eliminating any kind of motion blur. And of course, the Tab S4 has a slight edge in display sharpness because it has a slightly higher resolution and a marginally better display quality. Tab S4 also has better viewing angles because it uses an OLED display as opposed to LCD on the iPad. Both the iPad and the Tab are HDR capable. So overall, both displays approximate to a similar quality standard. Both displays are tip-top and world-class with deep and rich colors, excellent for reading, viewing photos, and watching video. Anyway, let's move on to the software. The Tab S4 runs on Android while the iPad Pro runs on the latest version of iOS. When comparing iOS and Android, things boil down to two categories: customization and app ecosystem. When it comes to customizing, the Tab S4 is light years ahead of the iPad Pro. Android allows you to completely and fully customize your tablet to fit your personal sense of style. You can modify your home screens, add some really fancy looking live widgets that also feed you information such as weather, stocks, your emails, timers, clocks, etc. On the flip side, the iPad Pro only lets you do one thing for customization: change your wallpaper. Beyond that, when you unlock your iPad, it's just a static grid of app icons. You do get access to live widgets on a side screen to the left, but these are just basic widgets stacked on top of each other. Now let's talk about apps. And when I say apps, I also mean games. The iPad Pro will offer you apps which will be far more polished than their Tab S4 counterparts, and the gaming experience will be far superior to the Tab S4, not because the Tab S4 is underpowered, but simply because iPad apps are better. That's just a fact. Most apps and games for iPad are custom built for the iPad, designed with the tablet in mind, but apps for Android are designed mostly for smartphones and are expected to work on Android tablets, essentially being blown-up versions of the smartphone apps. For some people, this is a huge deal. Now, this is really a topic I could dive into and talk about for a while, but the bottom line is that if you are looking for a customizable experience that is more free and open, you should consider the Tab S4 at the expense of foregoing polished apps and considerably smoother gaming experience. If you do care about high quality apps and quality gaming, iPad Pro is the way to go. It's got the better app ecosystem. Also, both tablets offer split screen multitasking, which allows you to have two windows running side by side, which is great for being productive, for research, and such. Now let me quickly talk about the S Pen and the Apple Pencil. The Tab S4 has the S Pen and the iPad Pro has the Apple Pencil. Both of these styluses are designed to give you realistic handwriting, sketching, and drawing capabilities. And believe me, they both do a great job in all those categories. Additionally, you can use these styluses to navigate your tablet, which is just cool. Only problem is S Pen comes free with the Tab S4, while the second generation Apple Pencil costs $129. So if you want realistic handwriting and drawing capabilities and decide to go with the iPad Pro, you are going to pay a premium for something that is free with the Tab S4. On top of that, the S Pen has unique software capabilities that Apple Pencil cannot duplicate, such as the Air Command menu. This menu appears when you press a side button on your S Pen and gives you several useful software features to utilize. And finally, the Tab S4 has an incredible built-in software feature known as Samsung DeX that transforms your tablet into a PC-like desktop environment. You can also connect your Tab S4 to an external monitor or a high-definition TV via an HDMI cable to fully project this desktop environment, the Samsung DeX, onto a large screen for maximum productivity. iPad does not offer a counter to this amazing feature. But going back to the app ecosystem, the iPad has more apps built in and updated specifically for the Apple Pencil and for the Professional. So if you're a real creative professional, you might want to tilt towards the iPad Pro. Now let's move on and talk about the camera. I hardly ever use a camera on a tablet, but you do get pretty decent cameras on both tablets for everyday use if you decide to use it. Let's take a look at the numbers. The Tab S4 has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, while the iPad Pro has a 12 megapixel rear-facing camera. Based on my tests, iPad Pro took sharper and crisper photos and also recorded higher quality video. If you really need a good camera to go with your tablet, I would choose the iPad Pro. Even though the Tab S4 camera is decent and will get the job done, iPad Pro photo and video quality is superior. The win in this category is the iPads. Now let's move on and talk about biometrics and also battery life. iPad Pro now comes with a Face ID scanner which scans your face to unlock your device. With the Tab S4 you get an iris scanner which scans your eyeballs to unlock your device. Both products do a good job with biometric options. Although it is slightly easier to use the Face ID, as the iris scanner requires you to align your eyes directly in front of the actual scanner. Face ID is more liberal. You can unlock your iPad even from slight angles. As for battery life, both tablets offer a rock-solid battery life and will last approximately 10 to 12 hours on a single charge for a mix of medium-duty usage. If you do something heavy-duty like watching movies and playing games, of course it's going to end much sooner than that on either tablet. So after looking at just about everything, it's time to draw a conclusion and find out which tablet is right for you. So how do we draw a conclusion? First, let's understand that the pricing on both of these tablets is different. The $650 base price on the Tab S4 is cheaper by a long shot because it also offers a free S Pen included in the box, while the base $800 iPad Pro will demand another $129 to own an Apple Pencil, bringing the total potential price to $930. And then let's understand that both of these tablets will do an amazing job when it comes to the basics. If you want a tablet to check emails, browse the web, check your calendar, read books and newspapers, annotate documents, as well as enjoy rich media content such as movies and music, either tablet will do a phenomenal job. Both tablets are highly portable, offer fantastic displays, and produce rich stereo sound from quality speakers. So based on that, I can easily recommend the Tab S4 to someone that considers themselves to be in the average consumer category. It does everything you will need at a much lower price point. But the moment you go beyond the basics and want a tablet to create, produce, and process and work with heavy-duty apps, keyword being heavy-duty apps, iPad comes on top with a powerful processor and professional-level apps that actually utilize that power. iPad Pro does offer more professional-grade applications that you can purchase from the App Store that were specifically designed with a tablet in mind, while the Tab S4 often uses blown-up versions of Android smartphone apps. So if you consider yourself above an average consumer, such as a creative professional, iPad should be the first choice to consider despite its heavier price tag. Also, one more very important thing that needs emphasis is that you could also be a professional that doesn't need heavy grade processing power, such as a writer. In that case, I would also recommend the Tab S4 over the iPad Pro based on pricing and value to cost considerations. So make sure to buy the iPad Pro only if you think you need that processing power for some special task in your profession. So the conclusion is that the end user should customize the buying choice based on the strengths that they want to have in a tablet based on what we talked about in this video. And that brings us to the end of this video. Real quick, if you do want a smartphone or a tablet, make sure to subscribe to SAKITECH, and of course make sure to click that notifications bell icon to instantly get notified when I upload a new video.